All right. I'm gonna focus on my alma mater, school I went to, East Carolina University Pirates. I was there for the David Gerard years, Vontae Lynch, uh, Joseph, defensive tackle for the Giants. I think it's Jonathan Joseph. I think he was there. Uh, Harden, receiver. I think he had the record for most uh, receptions for a career at one point in NCAA history. I might be mistaken, but he was there for it. But anyway, East Carolina would finish 4-7 this year. Um, Coach Mike Houston is doing a fine job. Former George Mason coach, James Madison. What you got to watch out for with East Carolina and this particular coach and his recruiting style is not about, I want to put this in the right terminology. It's not about who they get to recruiting as far as high school. You got to watch out for the junior college players. And that's how he made his name at James Madison, is getting junior college players to come there, or people trying to leave and their regular school and want one more chance to shine. That's why he makes his money at. He tried to get Tavion Feaster to come there after he left Clemson. He didn't, which I thought was a big mistake. Not because it was South Carolina, just because I think he would have got more shine there, and he would have been the focus point of the offense. I think he would have showed the skills off a lot more at East Carolina. Well, anyway, East Carolina this year, let me find it. They're, I think they second in American Conference as far as recruiting and 54 overall. Let me make sure. Yeah, 54 overall, second in the AAC conference. Last year, there was number 6 and number 78 overall. So they have steadily showed improvement in recruiting. The thing that probably the biggest issue is where East Carolina is located. And you got to think about this as far as recruiting. First, you got Carolina, North Carolina, you got State, Wake Forest, and Duke in the same state. Then, not too far, you got Virginia, Old Dominion, and Virginia Tech. Then you got South Carolina. So it's kind of hard for them to recruit big time there. And compared to Carolina State, I love my school, but our facilities suck compared to those two schools. Just like those two schools facilities suck compared to Clemson and South Carolina. So it's hard for them to get the best recruits to come there. They don't redshirt. They just get players to play, and they just happen to have good teams some years. They'll find a jewel. David Gerard, I know he was good out of Durham, but, that was a jewel. Vontae Lynch was a jewel. Vontae Lynch, if you look back at his career, he didn't always play fullback. He played linebacker too. So they got to find jewels somewhere. Jeff Blake, he was out of, I think he was out of Florida. They found him. Johnson, the running back, I can't think of his name, Andre Johnson, I believe, played for Tennessee Titan all those years. He was a jewel that they just happened to find, and out of Florida. So they just find jewels every now and then and turn them into great players. And that's a lot of schools, but East Carolina especially. I mean, that's part of the state. East part of North Carolina is a dying area. Not a lot of population out there. The hog farmers support NC State because that's an agriculture school. North Carolina has a lot of lawyers and doctors. East Carolina got a medical school out there and a dentist school. But compared to North Carolina, the Research Triangle, Carolina has a lot more doctors that put their money back into into North Carolina. Of course, you got Michael Jordan and Julius Peppers that all the kids gravitate to. They don't know nothing about David Gerard and Jeff Blake and Vontae Lynch and those other players. So they're not going to gravitate to East Carolina like they would some of these other schools. East Carolina basketball program has never been good. I know this is football recruiting, but they're on the uptake. I think this coach is going to do a pretty good job. When they had Lincoln Riley, could turn coal into a jewel. Look at what he did with a couple of the quarterbacks at East Carolina. Look at what he did with transfers from other schools, Baker Mayfield, Colin Murphy. Not saying they were bad quarterbacks, but they turned them to first-round picks. And when Lincoln Riley and Ruffin was there, that's what they were doing. They had a system, so that's when they were pretty good when they had those two there. After Lincoln Riley left Ruffin as an assistant to go to Oklahoma, now if you notice, that's when East Carolina started falling off. But as far as recruiting go, they improving. The legislature said Carolina or State got to play them every year. So, and that ranks, they get exposure. But they're coming. They're gonna be okay. I mean, they done beat Miami in their history. They done ran with Florida State. They done beat they done beat Pitt. They done beat Virginia Tech. They done beat West Virginia. For some reason, Virginia Tech doesn't want to play East Carolina no more because East Carolina canceled a game because of a hurricane. I don't know why. I mean, it was a hurricane. And they couldn't make it up there. That used to be a pretty big rivalry game. Not rivalry, but pretty big game. But for the most part, East Carolina recruiting is on the uptake. You see them improving every now and then. So we'll see what they do. But all right. Go Pirates.